Good morning. Let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat. This is your host, The Occult View. I'm not in a very good mood right now. I'm in sinister mode right now. Let me tell y'all what's going on. Let me just jump right into it. I had a dental procedure Monday, and I was happy to be able to go to this particular office because it was convenient, because it's in the same location as other things that I access. Let's just say that. So I was really, really grateful and gratitude for that. Had gratitude for that. Everything was fine. The dentist, he did, the procedure on my tooth. Everything was fine. But there was some paperwork that I needed from him so I could submit it to my insurance company, right? And that is where things went to the left. That is where things went to the left. And I'm not going to make this a racial thing because it's not a racial thing. The dentist, he was a Chinese man, but this is not a racial thing. This is a monster thing. This is a mental thing. This is a ego thing. And the more and more I really examine and think about the ego is a monster. That is the monster that's in the closet, the ego. And sometimes we have to tap into the ego. I understand that. But this man, he's a monster. This doctor that I went to, he's a monster. That was a monster talking on the phone. It wasn't a demon, it was a monster. He has mental problems. He's a short man because most Chinese men are short and small in frame. So, they have inadequacies in so many different ways. And that's not Asian hate, those are just facts. And I'm beginning to wonder if, even despite him being a surgeon, is his brain fully developed? Because just because you can perform certain tasks, it doesn't mean that you're fully developed. And people don't understand that. So when I requested, I was dealing with his office staff. There was no problem. I was not complaining about anything. The only thing I needed was a written report of the work that he did on my tooth, which he did a good job. I'm not taking that away from him. He did an excellent job. He doesn't have the best bedside manner, but that's not a Asian thing for me. For me, that is a man thing because a lot of men doctors do not have the best bedside manner in general, whether they be black or white or Asian or whatever. Because I've gone to black doctors who were nasty as well, especially the ones from the islands and Africa. They tend to be very, very nasty, the men, and some of the women too, but mainly the men. And this particular dentist, He was not my regular dentist. My regular dentist, she does not give root canals because that's what I had. I had a root canal. So I had to go somewhere else to get it. So my regular dentist, her office told me that they needed a written report of the work that he did on my tooth. So I said, okay, well, I will call them back and I'll tell them that. No problem. I mean, this is a business. This is what happens when you have a business, you know? So I called the office back and I told the receptionist, she was very nice. I told her what was going on. Now, I had just spoke to them a couple of minutes ago because they had sent me the x-rays. They had emailed me the x-rays, which was no problem. But I can't help if my dentist office is requesting more. I'm not requesting it. They were requesting it so they could submit it to my insurance company. That wasn't my fault at all. And see, I try to keep my temper in check, y'all, because I'm going to tell you something. The level of crazy that I can go to in my mind sometimes is really, really dark and sinister. And that is why I try not to get too upset. Because, see, I'm the type of person that will go clear across country to try to find somebody. I'm that type of person. I'm the type of person that will wait for you outside of your office. I'm talking about a man, if it's a man doing something to me. A woman, I'll call the police on her and have her arrested. No problem. I'm not putting my hands on a woman. If it's a woman doing something to me, I'll call the police, have them arrested. No problem. But a man thinking that he can talk to somebody like that on the phone like that, and he thinks there won't be repercussions like that, repercussions, excuse me. See, I'm that type of person to wait for you outside where you at your job and tell you to repeat what the fuck you said to me on the phone or how you said it. Because he didn't really say anything disrespectful, but his tone of voice triggered me. And it took me to a very dark place. And I don't think he understands the dark portals and the dark places he's opened up in his life now. That is why I say you got to be motherfucking careful who you fuck with because you don't know. So I'm talking to his staff. They put me on hold. I say, okay. He comes back to the phone. I'm very unhappy with you. You've called my office 1,000,000 times. I only called his office 3 times that morning because I was conducting business about my records. I'm very unhappy with you. That's what he did on the phone. That's not a human being. That's a monster. That's not even a demon. That's a monster. And when you read a lot of the reviews that this doctor has, when you read a lot of the reviews that he has, everybody is saying the same thing, that he has a bad temper, that he talks to patients really crazy. But what he doesn't know is he talked to the wrong patient fucking crazy. He talked to the wrong patient crazy. I'm not going to report him to the dental board. I'm not going to report him to any governmental institution. See, I don't do that. My institution is spirit. I'm going to change the whole vibration of his motherfucking life. Because he tried to publicly shame me in front of his staff on the phone because I heard them in the background. Number one, Why is he getting on the phone anyway if it's dealing with office stuff? My doctor, my primary care doctor, whenever there's something going on as far as the office, I talk to the office. I don't talk to him about that. He doesn't get involved in that. So why would this man get involved in that? He was looking for a fight. And then these motherfuckers got the nerve to run around here talking about Asian hate. Yeah, the hate is that you all are the ones that are hateful. You all are the ones who have a monstrous entity residing within you. And I don't care who that offends because it's been proven over and over and over and over and over again. There are people that I watch on here who live in San Francisco in the Bay Area, and they talk about how racist the Asians are in that community towards the black people. And I'm not really turning this into a racial thing because I don't think this was a racial thing. I think this was a entity thing. A lot of these doctors are possessed by non-human entities. It's not demons. See, people only think of demons and angels, but there are so many different beings. There are eons of beings. Not eons, but trillions of beings. So you know what I said to him? I said, fuck you and fuck it, and hung up the phone. And I called one institution and I said, you all deal. I called my insurance company and I said, you all deal with this man. I'm not dealing with him in his office anymore because I don't deal with that type of energy from a man or from a woman. I don't deal with that type of shit because my first inclination, and I had to stop myself. Something was saying, Seer, don't go up there and wait for that man to come out of that building after he finished work. Don't go up there and tear his office up because the first inclination was for me to go up there and rip that motherfucking office to pieces and him. That was my first inclination or my first thought. But he doesn't understand, and a lot of people don't understand. You have to be careful, and I've talked about this before. You have to be careful who you fuck with, who you fuck over. He really didn't fuck me over. He just didn't want to do the paperwork. But you're a doctor. You're supposed to do paperwork. He tried to tell me, we don't do that here. We don't do that. I mean, the way he was talking, you all, and that's not even the worst of it. He was screaming at the top of his lungs. I was trying to say, doctor, if you could just calm down. I was being the man in the situation while he was being the emotional um, woman in the situation. I was trying to calm him down and say, listen, I'm not requesting this paperwork. Yes, I called your office a few times, but I wasn't calling to harass anybody in your staff. So evidently, calling in his mind, calling his office is looked at as harassment. He thought that I was harassed. I guess that's what he thought when that wasn't the case. This is what happens in a doctor's office. People correspond all the time, and most of the time, the doctor doesn't get involved in the function of the office unless there's a serious problem. He got on the phone trying to tell me off in front of people, and he thinks that he's going to get away with that. See, I'm going to get him in a much better way than the dental board can do. You know what I'm saying? That I can do him better than what the dental board can do to him. He does not know. And to that doctor, I'm going to say that to that doctor, you know who you are, that dentist, you have opened up a portal of darkness and misfortune, unhappiness, terror, misery, and pain in your life. And you will never be able to close that portal. And neither will anyone else. I am me, smote it be. And anyone that was complicit in what you did in trying to shame me, it was almost like a public flogging, verbally, is what he tried to do. But, he couldn't really do it. And I said to him, I said, you don't have to talk to me like that. And that's when he started to back off. No, I'm not going to go up there. I'm not going to do that. My spirit said, no, just write his name down and you know what to do. And I exactly know what to do. And I know exactly who to get to do it for me. I'm just saying that in layman. But now my focus is on him. And when I put my focus on somebody, may God help you. And even that won't be enough. Even that won't be enough. So I hung up on him, called my insurance company. They called that office, and their entire tune changed. Their entire tune changed. They called that office, called my regular dentist office, and told them they would give them the paperwork that was needed. So see, what I did worked. It worked already. Not bragging. A lot of these doctors, they lose their humanity or they never had any. And a lot of them are fucking crazy and mentally disturbed. He's a grown man like I am. What makes him think that is all right for him to see? He did this on the phone because a lot of these motherfuckers, they get bold on the phone. He's lucky he didn't do that in my face. Talking about, I'm very unhappy with you, my friend. First of all, we are not friends. We're not friends. That's number one, motherfucker or fatherfucker. We're not friends. You did not, you did not do anything for free because we know Asians don't do anything for free for nobody. They don't have a generous bone in their fucking body. So we know that you didn't do anything for free. And when I say Asians, I'm talking about the Chinese ones, the Koreans. I'm talking about them. Some of them can be very nasty, nasty people, especially the men. Especially the men. At least with a white man, I can get a smile. Or a nod. I'm not your friend. I'm not your associate. You work for me. I don't work for you. I paid you for a service. That root canal that I had, it cost well over $2,000. And he did a good job. It's still a little tender, but he did a good job. And I'm glad I got it. but I need a crown on that tooth now. I'm not your fucking friend. No, you're unhappy because you didn't want to do the paperwork. But that is what you have office staff for. So when I look at this man, I'm examining him and his energy. Sometimes you have to wonder, are these people on drugs or something? I would hope not. Now, I'm appreciative that he took me and everything. I had no problem with this dentist or this doctor. I had no problem with him. But when you get on the phone and you speak to me the way that you spoke to me, when you talk to me, I'm another grown man like you, and you talk to me the way that you did, that's a fucking problem. See, I look very meek and mild, so people think they can just say whatever they want to say to me. See, it's almost one of those situations like with the Incredible Hulk. His human side, and then when you pissed him off, he turned into the Incredible Hulk. David, I think his name was David. The character's name was David, played by Bill Bixby, the late great Bill Bixby. But when you pissed David off, he turned into the Incredible Hulk, a monster. That's how I am. And that is why I try very hard not to lose my temper. Because the last time that I lost my temper, I tried to throw a dude out of a 3-story window. And I'm that type of person that will come to your house and wait for you, niggas. I'm the type of person that will come to your job and wait for you outside. I'm that motherfucking nigga. I will do that. And I don't want to do that because I don't want to go to jail. Because once you start me, I ain't going to stop. That is why I was telling you all the other day. People have said all types of crazy things to me. And a lot of times I had to step back. And I could not allow myself to lose control because a lot of times that is what they want to do. As long as that motherfucker ain't putting his hands on me, I'm fine. I'm not thinking about that motherfucking dentist or whoever the fuck he is. I'm not thinking about that short motherfucking piece of shit motherfucker. I ain't thinking about it. Because he ain't better than nobody. Just because you have a skill don't make you better than anybody. It just means you have a fucking skill and a degree in something, but it doesn't make you a better human being. But why do people think, people in certain positions, why the fuck do they think that they can talk to people any type of way and there won't be any repercussions? Because there will be repercussions for him. There will be repercussions. And the repercussions that I put forth are going to be much worse than what the dental board can do to him. He's going to wish, he's going to wish the dental board was involved after I'm done with him. People just don't get it. I remember when I had another issue with another Asian place years ago. They tried to steal my money. I paid for something that they never gave me. Went around to their business, tried to have a conversation with them. They were being dismissive. Next thing I know, I don't know how long it took. Next thing I know, their business was shut down. I didn't call anybody. I didn't make any complaints. The next thing I know, there was a Latin or Mexican place there. You know what? I would rather deal with Latin or Mexican people. Latin men, some of them are very nice men. A lot of them are even nicer than black men. You know that? Mexican men, I mean, everybody got their shit with them. There's fractions of racism and nastiness within their culture too towards black people. I get that. I get it. But Latin men, Mexican men, they see me, they smile, they speak, they're pleasant. You know what I mean? Black men, they looking all crazy. They only speak to one thing. I mean, it's crazy how people act, how different cultures are. White men, they speak. Some of them speak, even though they got their shit with them too. So I'm glad that they put I might go around and get me some chicken one day. I'm glad they put that Mexican place right there. It's a Mexican charcoal. They could make some damn charcoal chicken, child. They can make some of that good charcoal chicken. I might go around there and patronize their business. And I'm going to tell them, I'm so glad that you all are here. The women, they smile. I've had my run-ins with some of them too. It ain't all of them, you know. But when I come across Mexican men or Latin men, most of the time they're smiling. They just have they're nice people. Black men, they always got a frown on their fucking face. Asian men, they always got a fucking frown on their face too. I don't know what it is. Maybe I should get me a Mexican or a Latino man. Maybe I should, child. No, no, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Then again, I don't know. They're very humble, nice people. Some of the ones that I've come across here lately, even if they don't speak English. I think her name is Maria. I really like her. She's an elderly woman. A lot of people say she practices witchcraft. I don't care. I like her anyway. That's probably why I like her. That's probably why I like Miss Maria that lives in my neighborhood. I really like her, and she's going through a lot of health issues. Sometimes when she can't take her trash out, I'll go get her trash and I'll take it out for her. You know, because I grew up around a multitude. I grew up mainly around Mexicans, Panamanians, Ethiopians. I grew up around a multitude of people. That is why I'm not ignorant like this doctor that did my root canal and people that think like him. Now, I'm sure he sees all patients. And I'm not saying that he's racist. I just think that he is a monster. I think he's an entity. He's a monster. He's an uncontrollable monster with a talent. There's an entity that possesses him, and it's not demonic. Because usually a demon, you don't even know when it's a demon. Sometimes. Like I said, when Latin men and Mexican men, they smile, they say hi. Even if they don't speak English, they'll smile and they'll wave. You know, I don't have anything against anyone's race. It's the character that really gets to me. And unfortunately, a lot of Asian men have shown me that a lot of like I'm talking about the Koreans, the Chinese ones, they've shown me that they don't have a lot of good character. And they're coming over into America, buying up properties, buying up everything, and trying to disenfranchise everyone else and trying to put us up under their rule. They are worse than your worst white racist, if you ask me. They're worse. And then they want to talk about Asian hate when they're the ones who are volatile, nasty, violent, crazy. But they want to talk about Asian hate. I think they hate themselves because that doctor, he definitely hates himself. He seems very miserable. very unhappy. And I get it. And let me say this as a disclaimer. I understand that doctors are human and they have a million patients that they have to see sometimes. And sometimes things may get a little hectic. But what the fuck you will not do is use me as your motherfucking emotional punching bag. That's what you will not do. You will not use me as your emotional punching bag because now I'm going to have to use you as my spiritual punching bag. Do you think I need something from you to do that? I'm multi-universal. I will go into a reality and I will fuck up your life in that reality and have it cause a reverberation into this one. Y'all motherfuckers don't know who you be playing with. You think these titles and these big homes and having all this money and shit, you really think that that's power. That may be power in the material world. But when you don't have spirit and when you don't have power in the spiritual world, then you ain't got nothing. And that's why I said yesterday when I went on that rant about Christians who are getting in other people's path, that yes, it is hard for a rich man to enter into heaven, and it's easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter heaven. And the reason that that is being said is because some rich people, they let that go to their head and they lose their humanity, therefore losing spirit. Because oftentimes we think because people have money that means that they're spiritually in tune. No, it just means that they're able to manipulate the material world. They've learned some practical, magical things to manipulate the material world. Because a lot of us who are spiritually powerful, we don't live rich lives. We don't have a whole bunch of money. I mean, I may have a little something, more than what I did. I am blessed and I am rich and abundant. But richness and abundance is not always about money and material success. And a lot of these doctors, this is why a lot of them end up unaliving themselves sometimes. This is why a lot of them end up going away prematurely. You got to be careful who you fuck over and who you fuck with, or how you speak to people, because you don't know who you're speaking to. You don't know who you could be fucking over. Now, if we have a disagreement, we have a disagreement. That's one thing. But when there was no need for that, there was no need for that. Get what I'm saying? If there was no need for that, then there was no need for that. And there was no need for him to do what he did. There was no need for that. He didn't have to do that. He didn't even have to get on the phone. But he was having a bad day and he wanted to take it out on somebody. And you motherfuckers think you gonna keep doing that shit to me without repercussions? Do you know that I've had spirit take people out for less than that? And when I say take people out, I don't mean death. I mean lift up their, pull the ground from up under their motherfucking feet. And they'll look around like, what did I do? Think about it. Think about it. Who did you fuck over? Who did you try to throw your negative energy at or on? And you think you're going to get away with that? You think I'm just going to hold that motherfucking shit in? See, what I put out into the universe is going to manifest. And to that particular doctor, I threw out nothing but destruction for you, pain, and misfortune across all dimensions. And Vaurier, in situ. I was a respectful patient to this man. I was patient. I did not question him. I let the surgeon do his job. As a matter of fact, he even said, this was when he was doing my root canal, he even said that this was easy to do. It's easy because I'm not I don't like certain things, and that was uncomfortable. But if it's going to be for my betterment, and if it's going to prevent, because I'm kind of vain when it comes to my mouth and stuff, I don't, people were telling me I should have got my tooth extracted. Don't listen to no motherfucking Negroes telling you what to do with your health. Why would I get a good tooth extracted if they can save it? That doesn't make any sense. Black people just don't like going to the dentist. Black people don't like going to the doctor. And I get it. Neither do I. But sometimes you got to do what the fuck you got to do. I am not one to run to the doctor and the dentist all the time like that. But I do get my cleanings. I do get my 6-month cleanings because I don't want anything to go wrong with my teeth. But I am not a big fan of doctors and dentists. I'm not. But sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. But don't listen to none of these Negroes telling you what you do. No. No. Why would I let them extract a tooth that's good when I have insurance? But no, to that doctor, you don't realize what you have opened up. And I know you know now because I can feel that you realized. Like here we go again with, the Asian culture, just like when they thought they could come over to the United States back in the 1940s. I forgot when it was. Was it in 45, I believe, back in 1945, when Japan declared war on the United States and brought the United States or pulled the United States into World War II. They came over here being a bully. A lot of Asian men are bullies. A lot of Asian men are bullies, and I'm talking about the Koreans, the Chinese ones. They are bullies, and I'm comfortable in saying that. And I can throw some of the East Indians in there too. Some of them are bullies as well. And some of them do have a very low opinion of black people, which I really can't understand considering we're richer and have more money and more abundance than they do. Have you seen India lately, child? Okay. And I don't give a fuck who gets offended by what I'm saying. I said it and I ain't taking it back. But just like during World War II, Japan thought that it could bully the United States. And they went and dropped those bombs on and they attacked Pearl Harbor. And then once they did that, that general over in Japan, I forgot his name, he said, "Oh, I think we made a big mistake. We woke up a sleeping giant." Oh, yes, you did. Because we all know how America responded to that, as they should have. As they should have responded. That is how you deal with bullies. And they are bullies. Asian men are bullies. Maybe that's why your women leave you to go be with white men. Considering white men look better than you anyway. That's one thing about it. White men look better than you. And their dicks are bigger. Let's be honest. And that doctor, I can tell that he has a Napoleon complex and he probably has penis envy. That's why he acts like that. I've been with Asian men before. Their penises are smaller than your thumb. I've been with Korean men before. I've been with Chinese men before. Their penises are probably the size of a thumb. They don't have big dicks. They have no sex appeal. They're good with their mouths, though. They know how to suck on nipples. They're good at that. That is why a lot of their women leave them, because they are abusive and psychotic and sociopathic. They may have wonderful careers. They may make a lot of money, but they don't have spirit. They do not have spirit. And any spirit that they get, they rob from black people and other cultures. Be careful who you fuck over. Um, Another thing I wanted to address is this. I was watching Fox Soul with Funky Dineva, and I think they were talking about Sexy Red, and she was talking something about she's in the Illuminati, et cetera, et cetera. And Funky Dineva gave his synopsis or his opinion on the situation and the Illuminati. And he made a comment that he doesn't like how people always attribute black people's gifts and success to some type of supernatural divine being or some type of supernatural group. Well, that's because you don't have spirit either, Funky Dineva. That's why you have a problem with that, because you're antichrist. There are people that have spiritual gifts that can enhance their human gifts, like singing, like acting, like playing sports. And he thinks that there's something wrong with attributing that to some type of supernatural or divine, let's just say, intervention. And then he went on to talk about the Illuminati and how, every time a black person becomes successful, and he used Beyonce as an example, saying that, basically, no one questioned Elizabeth Taylor and her success and said she was in the Illuminati. No one questioned Liza Minnelli, but everyone questions Beyonce and her success and says that she's in the Illuminati. Well, she is in the Illuminati. She is in it. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm not a Beyonce fan like that. But at the end of the day, we all know that Beyonce has talent. Nobody's taken that away from her. But for you to deny that there are people that are in the Illuminati, that's crazy. And let me explain what the Illuminati is. And let me just also let me address this first. Let me address what he said about Elizabeth Taylor and Liza Minnelli, because he said nobody questioned Elizabeth Taylor, nobody questioned Liza Minnelli being in the Illuminati. They're in the Illuminati as well. But the only reason that no one questioned Liza Minnelli or Elizabeth Taylor is because during their time, no one had any knowledge. At least your average person in the public had no knowledge of these secret societies. This information is just coming out in the past 10, 15, 20 years to your average person, especially with the advent of YouTube. So it's not that they weren't accused of being in it. It's just that people didn't know. People didn't talk about it. That information was not accessible to the average public. We knew about Masons and Eastern Stars and stuff like that. But the Illuminati is basically having access to enlightened information, certain ancient knowledge and information. or being an enlightened person, and it ties into the pineal gland. So Funky Dineva, once again, you don't know what you're talking about. You're Antichrist, so of course you're going to be against anything that has to do with divinity or feminine or divine feminine energy. Because when I hear divine intervention, I think of divine feminine energy. I really don't think of anything else. And by him being a homosexual man and being a son of Yahweh, because he's under the Yahweh effect. And Claudia Jordan, you need to watch him because he does not like you. He does not like you. Al Reynolds is okay. But Funky Dineva has a very negative, nasty spirit with him or entity with him. I'm not going to even call it a spirit. It's an entity. So the Illuminati was not talked about in the days and times of Elizabeth Taylor and Liza Minnelli. That is why no one says anything about them. And most of the people that, and those two people that you named, most younger people or most younger generations, they may know who Elizabeth Taylor is, but most of them don't know who Liza Minnelli is. And for those people who don't know who Liza Minnelli is, she's an actress, she's a singer, and her mother was Judy Garland, the actress and singer who played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. They were all in the Illuminati. But the Illuminati was really not, truthfully, it has been turned into something to fear, and it's been turned into something a negative and evil because of what goes on in Hollywood. Hollywood has turned everything into something evil, negative, and dark. But in actuality, the Illuminati or the illuminated ones, that's really not a dark thing or a bad thing. We are really the real illuminated ones is people like me. And it has nothing to do with living in big homes and having a bunch of money or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. It's about the lifetimes of spiritual lessons and spiritual information that you have brought over from different lifetimes, and all of the spiritual knowledge and wisdom that you have acquired through different lifetimes and different experiences in life. That is what the Illuminati is all about. But again, you got a group of low self-esteem people who turned it into a group and said, oh, you're in, but you're not in. You're in, but you're not in. Doesn't matter how much money they have. Just like when I was listening to the spiritual channel of Phyllis Hyman, and her spirit was telling a channeler that the music industry is ran by 5 or 6 people, and Clive Davis is the face of it. And I can understand that, and I understand what they're talking about. Just because they call it the Illuminati does not mean the people within it are illuminated. Just because you have knowledge in front of you does not make you illuminated. That is a spiritual process. Knowledge and book knowledge is not spiritual. What is spiritual is the wisdom that you have within you, and that is what makes you an illuminated person. The people in Hollywood, a lot of them are fake, false Illuminati people because they're just in lodges and Masonic groups. Being a Mason is not the same thing as being in the Illuminati. And I don't care what anybody says. The Illuminati is not a group. It's a state of consciousness, Funky Dineva. And there is divinity backing up certain people who have certain gifts. Whitney Houston had a divinity about her. Phyllis Hyman had a divinity about her. Aretha Franklin had a divinity about her. Mahalia Jackson had a divinity about her, but you being a non-spiritual person and you being an antichrist person, you wouldn't understand that because you hate women, so therefore you're going to hate spirit. If you hate women, then you hate spirit. And I'm not talking about sexual orientation. I'm talking about having a reverence for spirit because feminine energy is spirit and we all have it inside of us. But when you don't nurture that, just because you can say, hey, NASA girl, the fuck is that? NASA girl? That's not feminine. Putting on wigs and putting on lipstick, that's not the only aspect of being feminine. Being feminine is tapping into spirit. It has nothing to do with degrading your manhood. And that's where a lot of men get it twisted. And that is why they are constantly in the material world. But then when the material world, see, they don't listen to what Buddha tells. See, Buddha even told you this, and Christ told you the same thing. I'm going to go with Buddha. Buddha understood that the material world, no matter how much money you had or how much, success you had, and that goes to this doctor that did my tooth as well, it doesn't matter how much money and success you have. The material world is suffering and pain. It doesn't all have to be that way, but eventually the material world will turn on you. The only thing that is constant is spirit. And that is what a lot of these people don't understand. And then when they realize, when they get older and your body start to shut down, you realize all that money and stuff really don't mean a thing. All that fame and success don't mean anything. Who's going to come bring you a cup of water when you need it? You're going to ask your $100 bill to go and get it? So, no, Funky Dineva, spiritual divine gifts and being led by spiritual divine guidance is real. It's just that the Illuminati part of it is misconstrued. And people don't really understand the Illuminati because a bunch of low self-esteem hacks in Hollywood, they've turned it into a group for people who were losers in the first place. So the Illuminati is real. Elizabeth Taylor, Liza Minnelli, the reason they were not talked about being in the Illuminati is because they didn't talk about things like that back then. That information wasn't out, but now that information has been allowed to come out now for whatever reason. So the Illuminati is real, but it's just not what people think. Anyway, that's all I have to say. This is the Occult View.